the Sunday show. We will see if anybody joins me today, but wanted to get into it. A very interesting game today with Chelsea finishes at Stamford Bridge. Arsenal won, and the host Chelsea won also. Um, a very fractious game, about very feisty game, and a game in which Arsenal um, went behind by a goal to a Chiloba goal early in the second half. So we'll get into it. We'll get into some of the things. And Arsenal equalizing what? After the Chiloba goal, Arsenal equalizing in the 59th minute through Mikel Merino, the ever reliable Mikel Merino, who always turns up. So listen, any questions, any comments, throw them in the chat box there. I'll do my best to get to them, and we'll see how we go today. Uh, AFC and Zuck said we were not up for it today. I actually feel like we were up for it today as well. I disagree slightly in the sense that we met the physicality of the Chelsea players, AFC and the UK. Thanks for being here first and foremost, and consider subscribing. We do have a good crew that are regular panelists as well. Um, yeah, I thought we met the physicality. Chelsea are a very difficult team to play against, particularly at Stamford Bridge. They are maybe lacking a little bit of the maturity needed to be title winners, to go on and really contend for the Premier League. And we saw that a little bit through Caicedo, and we'll talk about that. But they're lacking a little bit up front, and they're sometimes defensively can concede, but pretty consistent. We'll be up there with Man City, and it's an interesting top four right now. Arsenal top on 30 points, first team to get to 30 points here with 9 wins. Now a third draw and just that one defeat at Anfield. Um, Chelsea in third place missed the opportunity really to jump above Man City, and they're on 24 points. And Man City, we know about Man City on 25 points. Uh, with the four losses still, Man City have had four losses, four defeats. You know, the last two games, Arsenal, last two league games for Arsenal, we beat Tottenham, of course, the big game for us last weekend. And we drew today against a very decent Chelsea team who had beaten Liverpool at Stamford Bridge. And, you know, the way Arne Slot's been setting Liverpool up, that's not exactly a shock. But we did get the draw, whereas City won yesterday, but they did lose last weekend at Newcastle. So, you know, before the two games have been played between City and Arsenal, there was a 4 point gap, and now we have a 5 point gap to Man City. Let me know what your thoughts are and who the clearest contender or rival to Arsenal is looking to be. Is it going to be Man City or is it going to be Chelsea? I feel Man City in the longer run will accrue more points than Chelsea will. Chelsea did fall away last season as well. Man City, whilst they struggled against Leeds yesterday, they did get the win, and you would think that the City of old, the City of a few years ago, would start winning consistently. We start winning games, but they've got a tough one away to Fulham and a tough one away to Crystal Palace coming up as well. So we'll see by the end of this year. And that will be roughly the halfway point. 5 or 6 more games to play till we get to the halfway point, and we know the league is a marathon. AFC NZ UK comes back with, I think we moved the ball too slow and was probably our hardest game so far. I'm not going to be too hard on them. I'm not going to be too hard on the team. Like I said, we just had Bayern and Spurs, so we'll take the draw. Yeah, I was kind of dreading the fact that a draw might creep into our games at some point, the AFC, NCUK. Um, and I would have taken. It was nice to beat Bayern Munich and get a little bit of revenge on them for what they did to us a few years back with 5-1 scorelines and just running out cricket scores and rugby scores on us. It was nice to beat Bayern Munich. I'm not going to lie about that. But then you're always thinking in the back of your mind, we've been picking decent teams, and albeit Mikel Arteta this season, he looks like he's really matured as well in his managership. And what I mean by that is, he's picking the right players to play in the right positions, and he's rotating the minutes around a little bit. So he shared the minutes around most of the squad. We did have the discussion about Declan Rice last week, and I particularly was thinking after 20 minutes, Declan Rice is running everywhere, all over Stamford Bridge. He knows every inch of that field now after today because he was on every blade of grass yesterday, and probably put him forward as the man of the match today. I thought Declan Rice was immense. Um, but I did wonder after 20 minutes, could he maintain those levels after the big emotional game against Tottenham, uh, the old enemy, a derby game last weekend. Then you want to show the top players want to show themselves in Europe as well. And Bayern Munich had been unbeaten for what 18, 19 games. And by the way, we're unbeaten 16 games now, all the way back to that Liverpool defeat. So that counts for something, being unbeaten well into late November here, about to turn December tomorrow. So yeah, keep throwing your comments in there. It's going to keep me. It's going to keep me fed and keep me going and have some interaction with you guys. Um, I thought also a little quick to expand a little bit on Mikel Arteta. Um, Pick the right players in the right positions, as demonstrated by showing Fraden Mosquera and Hincapi, who I thought had um, two of them had good games. Anthony Taylor was getting his Christmas cards out early, uh, and well in advance, so they get in the post for everybody. Um, who do we have? Hincapi, yellow card. Calafiori, yellow card. Mosquera, yellow card. Timber. I mean, you could say a lot of times a lot of players were lucky not to get yellow cards. Zubamendi, the first one, which probably set the tone, and Cucurella. Um, Good that he got an early yellow card on Bukayo Saka because that allowed Bukayo Saka to have some space and some influence on the game. Do we think? Do you think? Question: Do you think Saka has struggled a little since his hamstring? You could think that. You could think that he has struggled since his hamstring. I think as Bukayo Saka got injured last season, and we all realized the injuries that we had, right? Um, Last season, it stretched our squad to breaking point, and that's what happened with Bukayo Saka last December. It stretched his hamstring to breaking point. We got through it with Mikel Mourinho specifically playing up front, and we kind of found our third striker in Mikel Mourinho. And he did pop up again today, becoming very, very reliable goal scorer and a goal getter for us when needed. Um, I just think that because Saka came back in April, like late March, April, ready for the Champions League, and I just think we've evolved our play now to not necessarily. We relied on Bukayo Saka up until December of last year, and in some respects he came back into European action. Got the goal against Real Madrid. So, that proved that he can still score goals. The goal that he scored at Sunderland still proves to me that he has the pace, uh, deadly pace over 10 yards to get onto the ball. I just think that our reliance on Bukayo Saka has become less and less, and that's a good thing because Andrea Berta has gone out in the window. and recruited very, 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 very well. Look at this across the squad here. We've got two central defenders that we bought over the summer, and they've come in. And again, to Mikel Arteta's credit, he's not tried to tinker with the back four a little bit. He's not tried to put Ben White in there or Timber in there or Calafiori in there. He's not tried to put a team out like Timber, Ben White, Calafiori, and let's say Miles Lewis Skelly. He's not tried to put those four on the field. He's actually shown fate. Mokera has done a great job when he's played alongside Gabriel or Saliba this season, and he's played probably a little bit more than Hincapi has. But Hincapi's come in once or twice as well and played, and this is the value of the squad. Andrea Berta's gone out and gotten Kepa. He's gotten Hincapi, Mosquera. Um, One player I'd like to see get some minutes is Norgard as well. We're going to need him when the cup competition's coming up. We bought Madueke, we bought Subamendi. We know we bought Jokeres and Eze, a very, very crucial, for me, a very, very crucial part of the whole puzzle. Abarici Eze, who did, to be fair, he did find it a struggle up against Caicedo and the physicality of Chelsea. One other thing I wanted to note as well, rest in peace for Billy Bonds, um, who unfortunately passed away, and a stalwart of the West Ham team, wearing that number 4. Lovely round of applause, lovely appreciation from the West Ham fans for number 4, Billy Bonds. Um, but today, the media seized upon Declan Rice and Caicedo in terms of the midfielders that they want to highlight. You know, it all comes back to that 2023 transfer saga, where it was reported that Arsenal wanted to buy both Declan Rice and Caicedo. For me, when we debated this back in 2023, for me it was always Declan Rice. Um, I had wondered about Declan Rice and if Chelsea had been the superior power at the time in 23, if he would have gone to Chelsea, because it is his childhood club. But thankful that the likes of Bukayo Saka and Ben White and Aaron Ramsdale at the time um, got to talking to him at the England camp, I'm sure. And they talked about playing together, Sachs and Declan Rice. So for me, Declan Rice is the more complete midfielder, um, is the more consistent midfielder, is the more durable midfielder, and is a fantastic player in transition and winning the ball back, um, and transitioning, such as what happened up at Sunderland when Declan Rice won the ball back. He's done it. He did it against Tottenham last weekend as well, winning the ball back and us transitioning very quickly. I'm very happy with the squad, says AFC. Hincapié and Mosquera have been good cover. You know, all of us Gooners woke up this morning and got the news of William Saliba, who did pick up a knock in training. Now, Gary does talk about you should train in the way you're going to play, and I think the Invincibles of old have all told us stories about training the way you're going to play on a Sunday or a Saturday or a Wednesday, and that's the hardest. Training should be the hardest part of your week. You should be happy to go onto the field and feel like you're not going to come up against, as in the Invincible days, you know, a Tony Adams or a Martin Keown, a Steve Bold, as in these days, a Gabriel Megalegs or a William Saliba. So, but the downside of this is you're going to pick up a knock here and there, and training should be intense. I've seen some comments about why we didn't hold back in training. If you hold back in training, you're going to lose something on the weekend, I believe. Yeah, AFC said, imagine Rob Holding in this game. Yeah, part of the reason why we didn't win the league in the last couple of seasons is because at Man City a couple of years ago, Rob Holding had to come in. We were beaten 4-1, beaten soundly at Man City, and the league slipped away from us. Um, Other instances at Anfield also a couple of seasons ago. And of course, we all know about last year, right? Last year was injury city. We had a lot of injuries, and we were not able to sustain a title challenge versus Liverpool. Um, a lot of pain. It was a lot of pain for me personally and Arsenal fans, I'm sure. I had to sit back there and endure. Listen, I don't hate Liverpool as a club. Um, when it comes to the traditional clubs, um, Liverpool and Manchester United, they're our traditional rivals of old. Um, the clubs that have come through, the newer clubs, the ones that are propped up by a lot of influx of money, that haven't always necessarily done it the right way. Those are the clubs that I don't really look upon with much favor. But sitting there um, through the last 6 months of last season was not nice. Arsenal struggling to maintain a challenge versus Liverpool, and Arne Slot with that Jurgen Klopp team went on to stroll their way because the Premier League is about consistency. The Premier League is about getting results week in and week out. It's about winning against the lesser teams and picking up decent and valuable points against the teams in the top half of the table. Last two away games, we've drawn to Sunderland away from home, and now we've drawn today against Chelsea. Something I'm not ecstatic about. Would have loved to have the 3 points today. Um, Drop points away from home can be hurtful. Can hurt your title challenge. So um, you're supposed to win your home games as much as possible and win a fair percentage of your away games. And going away to Sunderland and going away to Chelsea, it's just yielded 2 points in those last two away games. Looking at things overall, though, we did start the campaign at Old Trafford with a win. We lost at Anfield. So there's some, and we did win in Newcastle. So it's a mixed bag, and there are some very difficult away fixtures that have been fulfilled and played by this Arsenal team in the first 13 games. At least I've named at least five or six of them, which are difficult. You know, places to go. Yeah, imagine Rob Holding in this game. So yeah, I thought that Mikel Arteta sticking and having confidence in Mascara and Hincapi was a really good sign for us moving forward. And Mikel Arteta holding firm and probably guided a little bit by Andrea Berta and the provision of these players in our squad. Um, Gabriel Jesus came back into the subs bench today um, alongside Odegaard, and Odegaard would come on. Um, but yeah, it was a very fractious first, well, the whole game really. And Anthony Taylor provided, he made the game for himself in the sense that he was handing out yellow cards. And listen, not every foul can be a yellow card. Anthony Taylor found himself in the middle part of this game having to manage um, the circumstances of the game that he set up himself. Uh, Fifth minute here, Zubamendi yellow card, uh, feisty, and then Mourinho and Caicedo getting into it. Cucurella and Saka getting into it. Every time the ball would come to Bukayo Saka, um, Cucurella would go through him and got a yellow card as well. Cucurella would. I thought Calafiori handled Estevio really well, to the point of Estevio coming off the field. Casado and another Casado and the push in the back. Another a yellow card. 12 minute Eze finds Saka on the right and a clear shot on the keeper. Yeah, this was another influence of Abarichi Eze. 12th minute finds great control in the central area where the 10 would be. Bukayo Saka on the right hand side. Eze feeds him. And the shot by Bukayo Saka is saved. Goalkeeper passes the ball out quickly to, I believe it was Pedro on transition. Mosquera has to take him down. Yellow card for Mosquera. So this game will not be known for its free and fast flowing football in any way. Um, so first 20 minutes, as I mentioned, my notes here say Declan Rice. Um, Declan Rice all over the field, immense. He had another immense block on Neto as well. And one thing I also noticed that whilst Mikel Arteta picked Nkape and Mosquera, he did and had faith in them. He did have Declan Rice and Zubimendi in particular drop into the back four to help play out from the back because Chelsea's press was pretty decent at the time. Um, and then we come to the 26th minute. Calafiori fouls Reece James. It's a yellow card for Calafiori. You're thinking, will all of our back four be on yellow cards by halftime? 28th minute, Hencape loses the ball in the edge of the box, and Pedro is crowded out. Yeah, very, very good moment here. Whilst Hencape loses the ball, Pedro looks like Pedro's about to get a shot off. Calafiori comes across and hinders Pedro in that instance. 32nd minute, Enzo has a shot saved. 33rd minute, Cucurella walking a tightrope. Yeah, in 33rd minute, walking a tightrope for Cucurella. And I thought that he's very, very close to getting another yellow card and being sent off. But then we would be leading up to the 35th minute where Caicedo, and we'll talk about the Caicedo challenge in a minute. Charles 87 is here. Says it's not panic stations at that level. It's not panic station. 3 games at that level, the status quo has not changed. What did not work was the sub impact. Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. When you look at the subs that came on, I mean, I felt like Madueke was seriously hindered by the crowd, you know. Whereas, you're professional football, you're supposed to take all of that in your stride and not worry about that. Um, that definitely hindered him. So we take off Martinelli. Martinelli, who maybe was fading, he had done a lot of defensive work as well. So maybe, this is we have to think of the 3 games together. You have to think of the Tottenham game, the Bayern Munich game, which was, enjoyable and a good win. But we did have to put some octane into that win in the middle part of the second half. And then, of course, you had this tough physical game at Stamford Bridge. So who came on? Gyökeres came on. First game back and right at the end. This happened at Stamford Bridge last season as well. Odegaard had a great chance last season right at the death, and we missed that chance. Here again, a cross from Hincape, who finds himself on the left side of the area. Cross goes in, and Timber takes it off the head of Gyökeres. So what might have been, right? Gyökeres might have scored a last-second goal for us, but for that, maybe the sub situation would have been better with Gyökeres scoring there. Who else came on? Madueke came on, and then Odegaard came on. I thought Odegaard was quite tidy, and I was quite happy with seeing Odegaard and Eze working together on that one. So yeah, I mean the sub impact when you think about our injuries as well, Charles, we have our 2 central defenders, Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes, out. Kai Havertz has been out and hasn't featured for any part of the season so far. We're fast approaching the halfway point in the season in about another month. and it'll be in another month before Kai Havertz is up to speed as well. Um, I thought we did well then. When you're looking at the suspension, you have Gabriel Jesus named. That maybe tells you. Joker is named. That maybe tells you where we're at right now in terms of injuries. And don't let anyone tell you that we don't have injuries. You know. Um, all right. So Russ is in the house. Um, Thanks for being here, Russ. Hope to get lots of comments from you. And who else do we have here? BX Gunner is in the house as well. Thanks for showing up, guys. Throw your comments in. Um, you know, a 1-1 draw after going to go behind, it's disappointing, right? After going to go behind, but you get back, you get back level. I feared there would be a draw at the end of the day as well. So um, BX Saka was poor today, apart from the assist. He was selfish. That's Presto play. Saka was poor today, apart from the assist. He was selfish. I would have to say I think Saka played well against Cucurella, got him on a yellow card, had a couple of shots. I had that shot that I was talking about in the 26th minute, fed by Eze. Um, but I mean, BX Gunner agrees with you, so maybe it's just me. But I thought Bukayo Saka had a decent game, not going to lie. Um, Saka definitely was poor on the right, says BX. And we did notice at the end of the game, right? We did notice that Madueke and Saka switched wings as well. Um, Charles says, I think we were there to manage the game and nick it, but Chelsea wanted a spectacle and got burned by their own aggression. Very interesting point, and I was just going to come to this, Charles. So I think we were there as a team ourselves a couple of years ago. We had the ability, but we may not have had the maturity in the games, and that's where we were a couple of years ago. Let's say the sending off for Declan Rice at home to Brighton, many other things that season hindered us, and maybe we had all the passion, and maybe we had the ability, but we didn't have the nous or the maturity to get through games, to stay on the right side of the line. You know, and I think Chelsea got caught up on that as the contenders taking on the mighty Arsenal. Many pundits thinking we'll go on to win the title at this season, right? After all the seasons, we've come second a number of times, fourth, fifth, whatever it was, and two eighth place finishes way back. I just think we've grown up as a team. We've matured, and the important word there is maturity, right? We've matured. Um, we have the ability to maintain our physicality, maintain our speed of thought, keep the ball moving, such as what Mikel Marino was doing in that instance. And we were playing. I thought, as I said earlier, I thought Caicedo was having a good game. I mean, his direct opponent was Eze, the creative midfielder, and him as the defensive midfielder needs to keep an eye on Eze, and he was being physically overbearing on Eze, as you would expect, right? You look at their respective builds and their respective skill sets. Caicedo should be that type of player, but um, how we got to Caicedo was they wanted to create the intensity. The crowd got him up for the game as well. I think we were definitely there to match that physicality. Of course, they're playing at home. They're going to want to win the game. They were in third place at the time and remain so from this draw. But we were there to we definitely do manage games, but I think Charles, we're a little bit more attack minded now than we used to be. We used to maybe sit and be a little bit more ponderous. I think Mikel Arteta has realized that we need to be a bit more attack minded, and but for us not taking some of our chances, we could have won that game today. Um, so Mikel Marino, and he's got that maturity about him. He's able to move the ball around, and Caicedo comes directly in on top of his ankle, which we are knowing that's a serious foul play action. Um, Again, the commentators picked up on the TV, what I was watching. Um, Caicedo knows what he's done there. He knows that he's trying to buy himself some time. He's trying to buy the referee some time to maybe pass over what's happened with just a yellow card. But VAR is so Anthony Taylor, the referees on the field are going to apply yellow cards to these actions, and they're going to let VAR dissect it and diagnose it. So it's almost intentionally that the referee is going to make what in the end looks like an incorrect decision on the yellow card. The yellow card allows some time for VAR to say, "Hold on, Anthony. I think we may have some serious foul play." And this is what happened to us with Miles Lewis Kelly, and that was a high ankle um, challenge as well last season at Wolves. What makes it more disappointing was that we looked like the team with 10 men. I felt that way as well, Presto play, for sure. I felt that way. And it wasn't, I think, until we took Subamendi off and we brought Odegaard on that allowed Declan Rice to be the number 6 and have us to have a little bit more control with Eze and Odegaard in particular, our centre backs bringing the ball forward. To the point we had stabilized that game to the point in the last 20 minutes. You're thinking, okay, we can go on and maybe win this game, and you see one of our centre backs crossing the ball in injury time, and Timber just takes it off the head of Gyökeres, and you really want Gyökeres to shout for that ball and ask Timber to not do anything with it. You know, um, you really want that. But for that, we'd have maybe an extra 2 points because I don't think Sanchez is that good of a goalkeeper that he could have gotten to any potential header. He did miss he wasn't able to get to the Mikel Marino um, header as well for the equalizer. Chelsea had a better what you think. Um, so I think you're asking what did Chelsea do better than us? Is that what you're saying? One thing I was disappointed in that we didn't change was Neto. Always seemed like Chelsea had an outlet down the right wing, and we weren't there to challenge Neto until it came to the last 18, 20 yards of the field. Couple of instances there which I was both worried about and also liked. Uh, the one part that I liked was when Hincapi took the challenge, went into a challenge with Neto in our box and had a very clean challenge and cleared it away. And he got up and celebrated like prime Martin Keown at Old Trafford, um, in front of Enzo, in front of Neto. Um, and that's what I liked with Hincapi. And then the next time Neto came with the same kind of action, he tried to do something that it's in his wheelhouse that he can do, but he tried to curl a fantastic shot with his left foot into the top left hand corner um, against Hincapi. So that was a little bit of Hincapi getting in his head there. So big kudos to Hincapi today. A great performance, I thought. The other thing I really liked as well, uh, late in the game, there's a challenge between Enzo and Miles Lewis Kelly in the box. It's clearly not any kind of a penalty, but Enzo goes down and stays down on the ground. And what I liked was that about that was David Raya. You could see David Raya and Enzo getting into it as the game was almost continuing, and I like that kind of team mentality where your teammate is going to stand up for you. You know, David Raya comes out and challenges Enzo in that situation. You're clearly play acting, Enzo, and a lot of the Chelsea players were play acting. Once they saw that Anthony Taylor was willing to put his hand in his pocket for yellow cards and even a red card in one instance, um, you knew that they would both try to feign injury and also claim something against them. You know, Hincapi went in the book at the end of the first half for what I would call leverage on a header. You move your arms so you can get leverage as you're trying to jump for the ball. And there was a couple of instances as well where Neto did the same thing to, I think it was Mosquera, right at the halftime whistle as well. So yeah, I mean, BX Gunner, I would exactly mirror the comment that you just put in there. Chelsea looked like a bunch of dirty you know whats today. Uh, Russ thought we were timid. We didn't take it to Chelsea. I would have liked us to have been more attack minded. And, you know, the teams who have done well against Chelsea, the teams who have won there, have been Brighton and Sunderland. And in their performances, they've both been physical and both gone for it in a much more attacking sense. I feel like we accomplished the first part of that in terms of being physical, but we didn't really go for it and try to take our chances as well. Charles says, first time center back pairing called it early will be shaky. That is why Estevio and a couple of other players had shots outside the box and runs directly into the box. All calm. A Sunday game had more drama. Last Sunday's game had more drama. Our Sunderland game had more drama. Yeah, Sunderland game had more drama. And the Sunderland team is still amazing me what they're doing. And we all know at some point that they're going to slow up and some results are going to creep into their game. But, you know, beating Bournemouth, having gone 2 goals down, huge credit to Sunderland and all of the staff up there. They're doing a good job. So we go in halftime 1-1, and you know I'm I'd be really happier if we won the game. I'd be celebrating because you know you celebrate the wins, you hate the losses, and you're okay. Sometimes you're okay with a point, and I would have to put this point as ultimately I'm okay with the point. I understand because everyone can see 2 points lost or 1 point gained. Everyone could say, well, we had a man advantage for over an hour. Um, we lost a goal whilst we had the man advantage, and we got a goal back out of what was our best chance of the game. And so you could make a case saying to say we were lucky to get the draw, and you could also make a case say we should have gotten 2 points if we'd just been a little bit more on the front foot and a little bit more attacking. Um, so, and as I think Russ said, um, we need to win our next game. And luckily, you know, well, I'm going to say luckily because the game's coming up quick, right? But I'm also thinking we had Tottenham last Sunday. We had Bayern Munich on Wednesday. We had Chelsea just now. And those are, at least two out of those three are very high profile teams that should do well in Europe. You know, the other one is like an emotional game. The Tottenham game is an emotional game because people live and work together in that area. supporting different teams, and you want to go into work with those bragging rights, right? But Brentford at home to Brentford, I believe it's at home, um, should present us with an opportunity to double down and get those 3 points that we need. The games are now going to come thick and fast. There's games like this, you see maybe injuries playing a part and your full squad being asked questions of, right? So Mosquera and Hincapi, we asked questions of them today. I believe that they passed their tests respectively. We know what William Saliba can do and Gabriel Megalegs can do. Also, what the case is the squad game allows us not to stretch players. You know, if we hadn't had these players who could come in, Mosquera and Hincapi, if we hadn't had those players who could come in and do a job for us, we would have had to ask them to um, play today and not being completely fit. That would not have been exactly fair um, to them or fair to us. You know what I mean? Um, Havertz and Gyökeres too. You know, these are players that we didn't have to rush back. Mikel Merino as our third striker has done a good job. Martinelli and Trossard have chipped in. Trossard's another one of those injuries that I didn't mention. You know, we're going to miss Trossard at times as well. BX Gunner said last season we'd lose this match playing our backup centre backs. I'll take the point considering how shit the ref was. Yeah, I mean, Anthony Taylor, he didn't manage the game from the start. He allowed himself to get boxed in by presenting a lot of yellow cards. Um, I feel like before they go out onto the field, the referee should visit each dressing room and sort of say, "All right, lads, I know it's going to be competitive out there, but you know, don't force me to hand out yellow cards immediately." And each and every game, professional players they watch and they see how the referee addresses each situation, how the referee diagnoses fouls, and how the referee will let some things go and will not let other things go. And they take a cue off of the stance of the referee. They test. They have to be competitive. They have to be physical. Somebody like Cucurella really tested Arsenal's fans' patience, but also tested the referee's patience as well. Um, so let me know your thoughts about Brentford coming up. I mean, I think it's a game that we should really win. I think they beat Burnley yesterday. They have a dangerous striker in Thiago that we're going to have to be careful with. And we'll have to assess the situation of Saliba coming back, Trossard too. Um, Gabriel Magalhaes is maybe a little bit more long range. We might see Gabriel Jesus as a substitute at one of these games coming up as well. We have a Carabao Cup game coming up, if I'm not mistaken, as well, on the 23rd. So there's lots going on for this team. Gabriel Jesus will have to give him some minutes. I see a potential move for him in the January window. So yeah, definitely BX gonna last season we lose this match playing our backup center backs. I'll take the point considering how shit the ref was. Uh, Brentford will be a tricky outing as BX Gunner, much like Sunderland if we're not careful. BX, we're going to get back to some home comforts, and we'll see how it goes. We are formidable and we are strong at the Emirates. I feel like we weren't a good match for the physicality of Chelsea. Chelsea knew how dangerous we were. Caicedo, in particular, didn't give Eze any breathing room to turn and get around that. I mean, if Caicedo had not got sent off, I feel confident that we would have found a solution in the second half to be able to um, get the ball to Eze in such a way that he could get himself turned and face to face with Caicedo. Because a lot of the times, Cucurella and Caicedo and Enzo, even Neto, were um, right behind us, right behind our players, and challenging from the back, sometimes illegally as well. Brentford will be tricky, much like Sunderland, if we're not careful. Um, Michael, hi, right. Good to see you. Yeah, I was thinking that was gutsy. I was gonna say, yeah, Arsenal were gutsy today. I feel Arsenal were gutsy today. Listen, a few teams have lost there. Barcelona lost there in midweek. Liverpool have lost there. So it's you have to understand and maybe accept. We're not going to win every game, but we are the first team to 30 points. So hey, we just have to do that three more times. We have to get 30 points. The next 13 games, we have to get 30 points before any of the others, and then we have to finish it off in the run-in the last 10 games. Um, There we go. I feel we were a bit out of sorts without any consistent form with injuries. I I hear what you're saying. I was just mentioning the injuries. Trossard, our central defenders, the stalwarts of the last few years, and Kai Havertz. It's not been ideal, but the acquisition of players this summer has allowed us to be able to put decent teams out. And that's the big difference maybe between us and Liverpool. Liverpool has spent money, and they will tell us they've recouped the money and the net spend. They won the net spend and all these great things for Liverpool. But at the end of the day, they bought at least two players that don't seem to be fitting into their plans, and one of them is Alexander Isak. Until you can consistently leave Mo Salah out of the team and consistently play Joe Gomez at the back, and not have the injuries at right back that they've had, they're going to struggle. Florian Wirtz is not turned into prime Dennis Bergkamp yet. I mean, we're still waiting for that. He's not even turned into prime Kai Havertz yet. Um, and Kirkez, I've got huge doubts over his defensive abilities as well. And with Bournemouth playing attacking football and counter-attacking football, he looked really good last season. A little bit like Alexander Isak. He's looked pretty good with Newcastle playing counter-attacking physical football and quick transitional football. Liverpool, you're going to have the ball 65, 70% of the time. And you're going to play against compact defenses. I didn't see the Isak goal today, but this is the big difference between Arsenal and Liverpool's window. So you can win the window with the fans. You can win the window at the end of the summer, but the real winning is how you use those players and adapt to those players. And I think that Arnie Slot is on some shaky ground, and lucky boy that he got a win today. Salah dropped. It was a big call, but it seems to be the future. Yeah, listen, I believe Mo Salah will leave at the end of this season. Probably go to the Saudi League. Um, so this is the new Liverpool in a way, and maybe they are restarting a little bit. Um, the likes of Ekitike and Isak will be the main goal scorers. Cody Gakpo can fill in. They might have missed Diaz as well, who got sold in the summer. Um, so yeah, moving forward, Man City. We talked about Liverpool a little bit. Aston Villa have had a horrendous start to the season, and they're starting to get click into gear now. Ollie Watkins is not scoring goals for them, but they are getting goals, much like Arsenal. They're getting goals that are spread around the team. And I think Arsenal are having a season where their goals are spread around the team as well. Mikel Marino's weighing in. Gyökeres is weighing in. Eze's got 4 or 5 now. Um, Sa- we know Saka will, and we know Martinelli will, and we know Trossard will. So hard to see, hard to say, and hard to see if any of our strikers or any of our players really will get past 15 for the season in the Premier League. You know, and usually a good sign of a good league campaign will be that you can get some 3, 4, 5 year players past 15 goals in the season. Declan Rice is going to weigh in. Odegaard's going to weigh in with some goals as well. Zubimendi's already scored. Mikel Arteta got his lineup completely wrong. Um, he rectified it with the subs, fair play, but made subs too late. He should have overloaded the attack much earlier. I definitely see where you're going with this one. Caicedo is sent off in the 33rd minute. Play the game out to halftime, but then definitely say to yourself, we have an advantage here where um, Chelsea are going to have a big hole in the middle of their in front of their defense that needs to be filled. And what Chelsea did was they filled it with energy. They brought some players on like Garnacho and the kid that was at Ipswich last season. Forgetting his name right now. Um, but they stretched us and occupied their energy, occupied us. We got it wrong. Probably at that point we should have maybe thrown a little bit of caution to the wind and gone for it rather than doing it in the 57th minute. And really, we get the goal after the substitutions in the 57 minutes. Zubimendi comes off and Odegaard comes on. And this is probably us getting the goal. This is probably the important part of the game, getting the goal and getting the point at the end of the day. Zubimendi off, Odegaard on, Martinelli off, and Madueke on. And at the end of the day, Bukayo Saka gets the ball on the right hand side. 2 minutes later, there is a left footed cross, and Mikel Merino's on the end of it. 72nd minute, Eze comes off for Gyökeres. And, that's just consequence of Eze having 3 games, 3 big games and 3 full games in a week. And maybe also getting Gyökeres some minutes as well, you know. We have a point, and you bring your striker on to get some minutes and be ready for the Brentford game, maybe. You know, for me, I would still give Marino the starting spot on Wednesday against Brentford, and Gyökeres could come in, and Odegaard come in, and maybe we give a chance to Waneri as well. You know, I think he should have sacrificed the defender earlier. Yeah, and Calafiori came off at half time for Mazu Skelly. I understand the thinking behind it, but I'm also like Calafiori was rock solid today, and one of our better players took Estavio home in his pockets, in my opinion, as well. Um, he kept 4 defenders on the whole game. Yeah, fair point. Even though you're going up against Garnacho, I mean, what Moresco did was match speed against our defenders, Neto and Garnacho in particular. Still trying to struggle for that kid's name. I came from Ipswich. Hincape two also showed weakness in back four, which I worried about because he knew the Bayern Leverkusen team was good in back five. And he did make that slight mistake in the first half. Hincape did, but Calafiori had to come in and clean up a little bit. So listen, in summary here, and we'll get out of here in a few minutes. If you've got any more questions, throw them in. You want to keep me on, keep me talking a little bit longer, keep the comments coming. At some point, I will shut it down, right? As if full-time whistle blows. And, we'll be back on Thursday for Thursday night forum as well. Should have a fuller house in as well as we talk about the Brentford game. And not even sure who comes up after Brentford after that. Let me see who we have. But Nkape showed his weakness in the back four. He had that dodgy situation in the first half, but I feel like he grew into the game, and against Neto, that's a difficult opponent. Neto. Oh, yeah, just mention Aston Villa surging and doing well in recent games. We play Aston Villa next Saturday. So that that's always historically a tricky game. They've beaten Wolverhampton Wanderers today. Let's see what they did, Aston Villa, and then we'll look at Brentford as well, so I can discuss Brentford. Yeah, Aston Villa have been cooking pretty well since they lost to Liverpool 2-0 at home, and then they beat Man City at home, so they will not be easy. They've beaten Bournemouth 4-0, Leeds United away 2-1, Young Boys 2-1, and today against Wolves they've beaten them as well. So Aston Villa will not be easy at all. Um, I see the latest comment there, Michael. I think, are you going to come back with more streams now that football is coming back? Yeah, I mean we're doing the regular Sunday, Thursday now. We did one last Wednesday, just in lieu of Thanksgiving as well. Um, if allowed, it allowed Chelsea to push forward when they could. Yeah, uh, I think you're right. We should have maybe shored that up a little bit. Keep Rice as a number six sweeper and put the creative players up front pushing. Um, I also said, Michael, I'd like to see Norgard get some minutes as well. It's a squad game. We saw. Listen, Liverpool struggles, and I'm like, play Joe Gomez. He's a natural right back, and that huge credit to Mikel Arteta. He's starting to use the right players in their respective positions. Arnie Slot should have done that. So let's give Norgard a game, definitely. Okay, yeah, Brentford. Want to see what we've seen now. Next weekend, Aston Villa will be tough away from home. As Russ said, BX Gunner said, we need to take care of business against Brentford. I hate following a draw with another negative result. So we need to pick up a win at home to Brentford. Um, Brentford last few games they actually lost to well, that was all right. They beat Burnley 3-1 yesterday. They lost away to Brighton. No disgrace there. Brighton are a decent team. They beat Newcastle at home. Uh, they lost to Crystal Palace, and they beat Liverpool 3-2. We remember that one. Yeah. So I mean, Brentford's definitely a team. If you take care of business, you can get 3 points. It's reactionary, I know, and on most days I'll be happy with a point away and an intimidating side like Chelsea, but 10 men, I think, will frustrate us overall, was the chance to go 9 clear of them. 9 clear of Chelsea, and it would have been 7 points clear of City, but reality is we stay 5 points clear of Manchester City, who remain for me the main contender, I believe. And they've had their issues, losing 4 games this season as well. Uh, Thiago is in great form. Yeah, we'll have to keep him quiet. You know, I think South American player Thiago probably right, Brazilian maybe, and I think that Hincapi and Mascara will be suited to that type of technical forward who may have a little bit of pace. I know that he's been scoring a lot, but I will admit that I don't know a ton about Thiago. But the fact that he's been scoring goals in the Brentford team. The other thing I got to call out is Craving Kelleher. As an Irishman myself, got to recognize the goalkeeper. He's a very, very decent goalkeeper, and he's got a chance at Brentford. And they looked like they were going to be in trouble at the start of the season. Um, I got to see, they're 10th right now in the Premier League. 6 wins, 1 draw, and 6 losses. So we'll just have to tip that in our balance a little bit, where they have more losses than wins after Wednesday. But yeah, shout out to Queven Callagher, who, along with the Republic of Ireland and Troy Parrott and all those guys, hopefully they can find their way to a World Cup in the summer. Got to play a semi-final game, playoff game. Used to be you play one playoff game, home and away, and be done with it. But uh, the way it's set up this time, Ireland have to go to the Czech Republic, who are not the greatest team, and not the Czech Republic of Thomas Rosický's time. The likes of Suchek will be in that game. Hopefully, if we beat Czech Republic, we go back to Dublin at the Aviva. I've not been to the Aviva, but I'd like to get there for that game in the final. And it's either going to be North Macedonia or Denmark. So most likely Denmark. Uh, let's hope we get an Ireland versus Denmark. No disrespect to the other teams mentioned, North Macedonia or the Czech Republic. It's my team, it's my home country, and I'd like Ireland to get there. And Troy Parrott is scoring goals. We may see him soon in the Premier League, having scored 2 against Portugal and 3 against Bulgaria, knocking Zabazai and Kirkes out of the competition. So, to recap, last chance, put some things in the chat box, or we shall move on. But we'll see you Thursday for the Thursday night forum. We'll be talking about this Brentford game. Let's see what other games are going on Wednesday, just to prolong our chat here for a few more seconds, right? The leaders, Arsenal, as we mentioned, right, will be going to play against Brentford. 10 plays Brentford. Liverpool now we're up into 8th place as a consequence of their win against West Ham. Surely would have put Arne Slot in a very, very difficult situation if they did not win. All right, so listen, Man City, they have a very, very tough game. They have to go to Fulham and win. Right, they're 5 points behind Arsenal. They play on Tuesday. Man City have to go to Fulham and get a win. I'm very confident that Fulham will give them a very good game. Albeit Fulham in 15th place, but if they win, they could jump into the top half of the table. And admittedly, this Fulham team beat a pretty poor Tottenham team. And under Thomas Frank, who I do or did rate, I thought he could be a future Arsenal manager, but go to that lot down the road, you're pretty much, well, maybe not considered for Arsenal down the line and sometime in the future. All right, other games on Tuesday. Bournemouth, they have to overcome that defeat away to Sunderland, and they are going to play Everton at home. Everton themselves, who had a bad game against Newcastle. Yeah, Eddie Howe's birthday, right? So yeah, you would imagine that Bournemouth will beat Everton. Newcastle, Tottenham have to go to Newcastle on Tuesday also. You'd expect Newcastle to double down on that Everton win and beat a Tottenham team that looks lost right now. Also, I like Thomas Frank. You could see him maybe not lasting the full season as well. Then we get into Wednesday's slate of games. We have Brighton at home to Aston Villa. What would we want? We might want Aston Villa to get a draw there, you know. So they feel pretty good about our game at the weekend when we visit their place at Villa Park. We're going to need that win against Aston Villa. We need a win against Brentford. We need a win against Aston Villa. Crystal Palace were disappointing today against Manchester United, losing. How do you jump and move for your wall for your free kick that you lose the game? They have to go to Burnley. You'd expect them to beat Burnley, but if I'm going to put a shock down there, I would put Burnley down to beat Crystal Palace as a shock. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Nottingham Forest. Looks like Nottingham Forest to turn the corner a little bit. Decent team. Wolves could be in danger there. We know Arsenal are going to beat Brentford. And Chelsea. This Chelsea coming out of this game with the suspension to Caicedo, and they play Leeds. Now, Mr. Tom will tell you that is a rivalry. Um, I think you have to go back to all the way in 1970 FA Cup final, if I'm not mistaken. But Leeds United fans definitely want to beat Chelsea. And I wouldn't be surprised if Leeds beat Chelsea on Wednesday. Liverpool at home to Sunderland. Yeah, Arne Slot has come back with a win. He's got to keep faith with the team that he started with on Wednesday. But saying that, Sunderland continue to impress, really impress. Um, and as Michael says, there is no easy games in the Premier League. There seems to be a lot of parity in the league now, and there seems to be maybe a narrative going around, maybe from Liverpool fans, thinking, this Premier League is just as poor as their Premier League when they won last season. Um, Not falling for that trap. Arsenal, um, Arsenal will drop points. City will drop points, and I'd like to I'd like to maintain the gap or increase the gap. That's why we're all Fulham fans on Tuesday night. And we're Sunderland fans on Wednesday night, and we're Arsenal fans on Wednesday night as well when they beat Brentford. Final game on Thursday is the only one on Thursday. Man United home to West Ham United. And Paqueta, what the hell was Paqueta doing? Talked himself into a red card today. I fancied West Ham to maybe get a draw today against Liverpool. I don't see them beating Manchester United at Old Trafford. So yeah, I would go. Leeds could be your shock, and Burnley could be your shock in these midweek games. Um, could You could have a sneaking fancy for Fulham to get a draw as well against Man City, and that'll start things off on Tuesday. Um, Fulham at home to Man City will start things off. So listen, the debate will go on. Was it a good point? Was it a bad point? Should we have gotten all 3 points? Should we have gotten 1 point? The fact is, Mika Marino popped up and equalized. Disappointing to concede a goal, but we've done well with set pieces, right? Yeah, you should do a predictive table, Ray. There's no easy games. I've been hearing Sunderland for a Conference League position. And, well, where are they? They're in the top 6, maybe. They're doing well. If you ask any Sunderland fan, I think they'd be happy to finish comfortably in the top half, anywhere from 8 to 12. They'd be happy with that. You come in, you consolidate. Maybe they're going to do well in the FA Cup. They would get two decent. They'd maybe get to a quarterfinal in the FA Cup. Be a sneaking fancy for the FA Cup. Uh, who else would be in there? Maybe City could do well in the FA Cup. They always do well in the FA Cup. Um, Newcastle or Chelsea. I like to think Arsenal will give that a good go as well this season. All right, so where are we right now? Coming to the end of November. Doing really well in Europe. I think we're top of the table in Europe. And there was a thing about the PSG coach, Luis Enrique. He was asked about Arsenal, he was asked about the English teams. I think the answer that he gave was a correct one, is one that we should all caution ourselves. He said we're all gonna get to a point where we're gonna be in the knockout stages in March, and where each club is in March will tell a lot as to who's going to win the Champions League. Um, so for Arsenal's part, we're doing really well now. Um, August, September, October, November, 4 months of football, very much interrupted by international breaks and the World Cup campaigns. But nevertheless, 5 points clear. 5 points clear of City. Um, nice gap that we can maintain. Um, we have to match or do better than Man City this coming midweek. So Man City go to Fulham. Hopefully they can drop points there. And they struggled against Leeds. They are not um, a team to be feared as they were back in the day. Um, top in Europe, top in the Premier League, and into a quarterfinal, I think, in the Carabao Cup and an FA Cup that we need to. Um, we're going to need to throw some players in there, like the players that are going to have to play in FA Cup games. Maybe a Gabriel Jesus, depending on whether we want to sell him in January, not cup tie him. Ben White, Kepa, Moneri, Norgard, these kind of players. Trossard, Martinelli. Maybe Kai Havertz can be back for an FA Cup game to kind of give him some minutes. So we're in a really really good position, um, and the only things really stopping us is becoming more attack minded. I believe Chelsea Chelsea are always going to give us a tough game, um, but it's another tough away fixture out of the way as well. I think Arsene Wenger went to sign Enrique and Guardiola back in the day. Exactly. Imagine having those two. He tried to get Mbappe as well when he was like very very young. I mean, he was trying to get him interested in Arsenal. But those are the things. Conte is another player, but for me, always wanted Declan Rice over Caicedo in 2023, and that's been proven today. I think Declan Rice has got the right temperament, the right maturity, the right physicality, the right um, the right physical abilities, the right football abilities to be able to get the ball and transition quickly and allow our players. Eze has been a revelation this season, so let's keep it going against Brentford on Wednesday night, and hopefully on Thursday night we're talking about some very very good results that have gone our way, and because this Premier League, it's 13 games gone. There's 25 games left. There's a full 2/3 of the season left, and we need to check in the new year and see where we're at the halfway point in the season. There's, for me, there's a few checkpoints in the season. The first one, after 10 games, really tells you who you are, what you are, and where you're going to be. And then you get to the halfway point, 19 games. Usually around the new year that happens. You can really tell then who the contenders are. We should be amongst them. And then you get to maybe 10 games to go in the season as well. So they're very much quarter points, quarter, half, 3/4, full. And that's how you checkpoint your season. So listen, thanks for being here. For those of you who've been here with me tonight, hope you are content with the point. Hopefully we're happier on the midweek when Brentford come to the Emirates and we're able to put them to the sword. All right. Until then, we'll see you Thursday night. And thanks for being here. Take care, everybody. Slap a like on the way out. Really would appreciate the thumbs up. Always appreciate your support. And maybe we'll get Tony, Gary, Alonso, Stan in the house on Thursday night. And if you're new around here and you have subscribed, free content right here, free content. So consider subscribing as well. Really would appreciate it. And we will see you on the next one. Come on, you Gunners. Take care.